On her first day as a janitor in a sleek Atlanta skyscraper, Selena James comes face to face with the CEO, a boy from her past who once promised he'd come back for her. Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today. The morning sun beat down on Selena James as she stood outside the gleaming Valerix building in downtown Atlanta. The 30-story glass tower seemed to touch the clouds, and for a moment, she felt just as small as those clouds made her feel. At 28, this wasn't where she had planned to be, but life had other ideas. "You can do this," she whispered to herself, adjusting the strap of her worn leather purse. Inside was a peanut butter sandwich wrapped in plastic, lunch she couldn't afford to buy in the fancy corporate cafeteria. Taking a deep breath, Selena pushed through the revolving door into the air-conditioned lobby. The cool air hit her face as she approached the security desk, trying to ignore how out of place she felt in her simple blue blouse and black pants. "I'm here for my first day," she told the guard, pushing a strand of dark hair behind her ear. "Custodial services." The guard barely looked up as he handed her a temporary badge. "Elevators are to the right. Report to maintenance on the second floor." Selena nodded, clipping the badge to her blouse. This wasn't how she had imagined her life would turn out when she was the brightest student in her high school. But after her mother died and her Aunt Lena got sick, college dreams had faded away. 6 years of caring for her aunt had drained her savings, and now this janitorial position was the only job she could find after months of searching. The elevator doors opened on the second floor, revealing a middle-aged woman with a clipboard. "So you must be Selena," the woman said, looking her up and down. "I'm Rita, head of maintenance. Let's get you set up." Rita led her to a small room filled with cleaning supplies and uniforms. "You'll work the day shift, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Main job is keeping the executive floors clean. That's 28 through 30. The big shots like everything spotless." Selena nodded, taking the gray uniform Rita handed her. "Bathroom's there to change," Rita said, pointing to a door. "When you're done, I'll show you the supply cart and your route." 10 minutes later, Selena pushed a large cleaning cart into the executive elevator. She stared at her reflection in the polished doors, barely recognizing herself in the uniform. The girl with dreams of becoming a doctor now carried disinfectant and trash bags. "It's honest work," she reminded herself as the doors opened on the 30th floor. "It'll pay Aunt Lena's medical bills." The executive floor was quiet that morning, with most offices empty. Selena worked methodically, emptying trash cans and wiping down surfaces. She kept her eyes down whenever someone walked by, not wanting to see the pity or worse, the indifference in their eyes. Around noon, as she was cleaning the glass walls of a conference room, voices approached from the hallway. The quarterly. "Numbers look good, Julian. The board will be pleased. Let's not celebrate yet. We still need to secure the Westfield account." Something about the second voice made Selena freeze. It was deeper than she remembered, but there was a familiar cadence to it that tugged at her memory. She turned slightly, peering through the glass. 2 men in expensive suits stood in the hallway. The older one was gray-haired and portly, but the younger one, tall with dark blonde hair and sharp features, made her heart skip a beat. It couldn't be. The younger man turned slightly, and Selena quickly looked away, her hands trembling as she sprayed more cleaner on the glass. It was impossible. Julian Hart had left their neighborhood 15 years ago. His family had moved away after his father got a big promotion. The last time she saw him, they were both 15, sitting on her front porch steps under a blanket. "South Stars, I'll come back for you, Lena," he had promised, using the nickname only he ever called her. "When we're older, I won't forget." But he never did come back. And eventually Selena had stopped waiting. The men moved on, their voices fading down the hallway. Selena released a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. She was being silly. That couldn't possibly be the same Julian. The boy she'd known couldn't be the CEO of Valerix. Life didn't work that way. Later that afternoon, as Selena was refilling the paper towel dispensers in the executive washroom, her phone buzzed with a text from her aunt. "Need to pick up new prescription. Doctor changed dosage." Selena closed her eyes briefly. Another prescription meant another expense they couldn't afford. She texted back a simple, "Okay," and tried to push away the rising panic. One day at a time. That's how she'd survived this long, when She returned to her cart. She found Rita waiting for her. "Mr. Hart wants to see you in his office," Rita said, looking confused. "Don't know why the CEO would want to talk to a new janitor, but you better go now." Selina's stomach tightened. "Did I do something wrong?" Rita shrugged. "End of the hall, big corner office. Can't miss it." With each step toward the office, Selina's anxiety grew. Had she cleaned something improperly? Was she about to lose this job on her first day? The office door was open. Selina knocked softly on the frame, keeping her eyes on the plush carpet. "Come in," called that same voice from earlier. Taking a deep breath, Selina stepped inside. The office was massive, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Atlanta skyline. Behind an imposing desk sat the young man she'd seen earlier. "Please, have a seat," he said, gesturing to a chair across from him. "I'd rather stand, sir," Selina replied quietly. "I don't want to dirty your furniture." Something flashed across the man's face. Was it pain? "Please," he said again, softer this time. "I insist." Reluctantly, Selina perched on the edge of the chair, her hands folded tightly in her lap. She still couldn't bring herself to look directly at him. "I've been reviewing some staffing assignments," he began, his voice carefully measured. "I notice you're assigned to the day shift." "Yes, sir." "We actually have a need for someone on the night shift. It's the same work, but in a quieter environment, and it pays $1 more per hour." Now Selina did look up, surprised. An extra $1 per hour would make a real difference in her budget, and that's when she saw his eyes. Hazel eyes that she would recognize anywhere. Eyes that had once looked at her like she was the most important person in the world. It was him, Julian Hart, the boy who had promised to return. Selina felt the color drain from her face. Did he recognize her? Was this some kind of joke? But his expression revealed nothing as he continued. "The hours would be 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Would that work for you?" Selina swallowed hard, forcing herself to look away from those familiar eyes. "Yes, that would be fine." "Good. You'll start tomorrow." "Tight. Report to the lobby at 10:45 p.m. It was a dismissal. Selina stood on shaky legs, still not quite believing what was happening. "Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Hart." She turned to leave, desperate to escape before her emotions betrayed her. "One more thing, Ms. James." Selina paused at the door but didn't turn around. "I hope you'll find Valerix a place where you can grow. We value potential here." His words seemed loaded with meaning, but Selina couldn't allow herself to read into them. She nodded stiffly and left the office, her mind reeling. That night, as Selina sat by her aunt's bed helping her take her new medications, she couldn't stop thinking about Julian. Had he recognized her? It seemed impossible that he wouldn't. But then why hadn't he said anything? "You're quiet tonight," Aunt Lena observed, her once beautiful face now gaunt from years of illness. "Bad first day?" Selina forced a smile. "No, it was fine. Just tired. And I'm switching to night shift starting tomorrow." "Night shift? That's not what you signed up for." "It pays more," Selina said simply, avoiding the real reason she'd accepted the change without argument. The truth was, part of her wanted to believe that Julian had remembered her, that after all these years he was trying to help in the only way she might accept, not as charity, but as a better job opportunity. But the realistic part of her, the part hardened by years of disappointment, knew better. Men like Julian Hart didn't remember girls from the poor side of town. He probably hadn't recognized her at all. The job change was just a coincidence. The next evening, Selina arrived at Valerix 15 minutes early. The night guard gave her a permanent badge and directed her to the service elevator. The building was mostly empty, with only a few lights on in distant offices. As she began her cleaning routine on the executive floor, Selina found the silence both peaceful and eerie. She worked efficiently, trying not to think about whose office she was cleaning or what he might be thinking. Around 2 a.m. she pushed her cart into the break room on the 30th floor and froze. On the counter was a small basket filled with packages of peanut butter crackers and small bottles of cherry soda. Selina's heart pounded. These had been her favorite snacks in high school. Julian used to bring them whenever they studied together under the big oak tree in her backyard. Could be a coincidence, she whispered to herself, though she didn't believe it. When she reached the CEO's office, she hesitated before entering. The room was dark except for a small desk lamp. Selina quickly emptied the trash and was wiping. Down the desk, when she noticed a framed photograph partially hidden behind a stack of folders. With trembling fingers, she moved the folders aside. The photo showed two teenagers sitting on porch steps, their heads together, laughing at something beyond the camera. She recognized herself immediately, younger, carefree, full of hope. And beside her was Julian, looking at her with undisguised affection. He had kept this photo all these years. He did remember. As she set the picture back in place, she noticed a folded paper under the edge of his keyboard with her name written on it. Selina knew she shouldn't look, but her hands seemed to move of their own accord, unfolding the note. The handwriting was achingly familiar. The same handwriting that had once written her notes passed secretly in class. I never forgot you. I came back for you. Selina's vision blurred with tears as she clutched the note. The walls she had built around her heart for 15 years began to crumble, and all the questions she had pushed away came flooding back. Why had he never contacted her? What was he doing now? And most importantly, what did he want from her after all this time? Selina stared at the note, her hands shaking so badly she almost dropped it. Her mind raced with confusion and disbelief. After 15 years of silence, why was Julian suddenly back in her life? And why this way, as her boss secretly watching her from a distance? She carefully folded the note and slipped it into her pocket. This changed everything, and nothing. She was still a janitor, still drowning in medical bills, still responsible for her aunt. Whatever game Julian Hart was playing, she couldn't afford to participate. For the rest of her shift, Selina cleaned with mechanical precision, trying to keep her emotions in check. When 7 a.m. arrived, she clocked out quickly, hoping to avoid any chance encounter with Julian as the day staff began to arrive. Back in the small two-bedroom apartment she shared with her aunt, Selina collapsed onto her bed, emotionally exhausted. Sleep wouldn't come as her mind kept replaying that moment in Julian's office. Had there been recognition in his eyes? Why hadn't he simply said something? Selina, are you home? Her aunt's weak voice called from the next room. Swallowing her turmoil, Selina went to her aunt's bedside. At 55, Lena James looked 20 years older, her body ravaged by the autoimmune disease that had attacked her 6 years ago. How was your first night shift? Aunt Lena asked, her eyes concerned despite her own discomfort. It was fine, Selina replied, forcing a smile. Quiet, peaceful. You look upset. Selina sighed. There was no hiding anything from the woman who had raised her after her mother's death. I ran into someone from the past, Julian Hart. Aunt Lena's eyes widened. Little Julian from down the street? The boy who was always following you around? He's not so little anymore, Selina said wryly. He's the CEO. The CEO, Aunt Lena struggled to sit up. Of the company you're cleaning for? Selina nodded, helping adjust her aunt's pillows. Crazy, right? He's the one who moved me to night shift. Did he recognize you? I think so, but he didn't say anything directly. Selina hesitated, then pulled out the note. I found this on his desk. Aunt Lena read it, her expression softening. Oh, Selina, he always had such a crush on you. We were kids, Selina said dismissively. It doesn't matter now, we're from different worlds. You weren't always, her aunt reminded her gently. Before your mother died, before I got sick, you were headed for big things too. Maybe he sees that. Selina shook her head. I don't want his pity, or worse, his charity. Is that what you think this is? What else could it be? Selina's voice cracked slightly. Look at me, Aunt Lena. I'm cleaning toilets while he runs a multi-million-dollar company. Don't you dare be ashamed of honest work, her aunt said firmly. Your mother and I raised you better than that. Selina's eyes filled with tears. I'm not ashamed of the work. I'm ashamed that he's seeing me like this. After everything I dreamed of becoming, Aunt Lena reached for her hand. Then show him who you really are, not just the woman in the janitor's uniform. That night, Selina arrived at work with a new resolve. She would confront Julian, ask him directly what he wanted. No more games, no more secret notes. But when she reached the executive floor, something was different. Soft music played through the otherwise empty offices, an old song she hadn't heard in years. It was Under the Stars by the Night Travelers, the song that had been playing on Julian's portable radio the night he'd promised to come back for her. Her heart pounding, Selina followed the music to the break room. There on the table sat a small wrapped package with her name on it. Against her better judgment, she opened it. Inside was a dog-eared copy of The Little Prince, her favorite book from childhood. A bookmark stuck out from a page near the middle. She opened to it and found a passage highlighted. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. Below it, in that familiar handwriting, was a note. Remember when you read this to me after I broke my arm? Some things never change, Lena. Meet me on the roof at 3 a.m. if you want to talk. Selina closed the book, conflicted. Part of her wanted to ignore the invitation, to maintain the wall she'd built around her heart. But a stronger part, the part that had never stopped wondering about the boy who left, needed answers. For the next few hours, she cleaned with distracted efficiency, checking her watch every few minutes. At 2:55 a.m., she took the service elevator to the top floor, then climbed the stairs to the roof access door. The door was unlocked. Selina pushed it open and stepped onto the rooftop garden, a beautiful space with potted trees, comfortable seating, and twinkling lights strung overhead. Julian stood at the edge, looking out over the city lights, his back to her. "You came," he said without turning around, as if he could sense her presence. "I want to know what this is all about," Selina said, keeping her voice steady. "Why the secrecy? Why not just tell me who you were yesterday?" Julian turned then, and in the soft lighting he looked more like the boy she remembered. Vulnerable, sincere. "Would you have reacted well if I had? Hey, remember me? The guy who promised to come back 15 years ago and never did." His honesty caught her off guard. "So you do remember?" "I never forgot, Lena, not for a single day." He took a step toward her. "And yes, I recognized you the moment you walked into my office, but I could see in your eyes that you didn't want to be recognized. You looked afraid." "I wasn't afraid," Selina protested, though it wasn't entirely true. "I was surprised and confused and angry," Julian supplied. "You have every right to be. I broke my promise." "You were 15, Selina said, surprising herself by defending him. "We both were. Kids say things." Julian shook his head. "I meant what I said that night. I was going to come back for you, but then my dad's company transferred him overseas. We moved to London 2 weeks after leaving Atlanta. No internet back then, not like now. I wrote you letters." "I never got any letters," Selina said, frowning. "I found out years later that my mother never mailed them," Julian said bitterly. "She thought it was just a teenage crush that would fade. She threw them away." Selina didn't know what to say to that. It changed the narrative she'd told herself all these years, that she hadn't been important enough for him to remember. "When I finally had my own money, my own freedom, I tried to find you," Julian continued. "But your aunt had sold the house. Nobody knew where you'd gone." "Mom died," Selina said quietly. "Aunt Lena moved us closer to the hospital where she was getting treatments." Understanding dawned in Julian's eyes. "That's why you never went to college." Selina stiffened. "You looked at my application." "I look at all applications for any position in this building," Julian said unapologetically. "And yes, I was surprised. You were brilliant, Lena. You were going to be a doctor." "Life happens," Selina said, looking away. "Aunt Lena got sick. Someone had to take care of her. So you sacrificed everything." His tone wasn't pitying, it was admiring, but Selina bristled anyway. "I didn't sacrifice anything. I made choices. The right choices." Julian nodded slowly. "I always knew you. We're the better person between us." "This isn't a competition, Julian," Selina sighed. "And I didn't come up here to reminisce about what might have been. I need to know what you want from me now." "The chance to know you again," he said simply. "Not as the CEO and the janitor, just as Julian and Lena." Selina shook her head. "It's not that simple. You can't erase 15 years or the fact that you sign my paychecks." "I know," Julian agreed, surprising her. "That's why I thought maybe we could start with friendship. No pressure, no expectations. Just coffee sometimes, or lunch? The earnestness in his voice tugged at Selina's heart, but her practical side remained wary. And what would your board of directors think about you having coffee with the cleaning? Lady? I don't care what they think, Julian said firmly. And you're not the cleaning lady. You're Selina James, the smartest person I've ever known. The girl who knew all the constellations and could recite Shakespeare from memory. Despite herself, Selina felt a blush creep into her cheeks. That girl is gone, Julian. I don't believe that, he said softly. I think she's just been waiting for a chance to shine again. Before Selina could respond, her phone buzzed in her pocket. A text from her neighbor. Your aunt fell, ambulance taking her to Memorial Hospital. I have to go, Selina said urgently, already moving toward the door. My aunt... What happened? Julian asked, following her. She fell. She's on her way to the hospital. Panic rose in Selina's throat. The last time Aunt Lena had fallen, she'd broken her hip and spent weeks in recovery. I'll drive you, Julian offered immediately. No, I can take the bus. The bus will take an hour at this time of night, Julian pointed out. My car is in the garage. We can be there in 15 minutes. Selina wanted to refuse, to maintain the boundary between them. But her worry for her aunt overrode her pride. Okay, thank you. In the elevator down to the parking garage, Julian made a quick call. Mark, I need you to contact HR and let Ms. James's supervisor know she had a family emergency and won't be finishing her shift tonight, and clear my morning schedule. Selina glanced at him, surprised by both his efficiency and his consideration. Julian's car was a sleek black luxury sedan. Any other time, Selina might have felt self-conscious climbing into such an expensive vehicle in her janitor's uniform. But now, all she could think about was getting to her aunt. They drove in tense silence for several minutes before Julian spoke. She raised you after your mum died, right? Selina nodded. She gave up everything to take care of me, and now I'm all she has. She's lucky to have you, Julian said sincerely. I'm the lucky one, Selina corrected him. She taught me what real strength looks like. When they arrived at the hospital, Julian didn't just drop her off, he parked and came inside with her. Selina was too worried to question it. At the emergency room desk, Selina gave her aunt's information, her voice shaking slightly. Lena James, she was brought in by ambulance about 20 minutes ago. The nurse checked her computer. Yes, they're taking x-rays now. You can wait over there and the doctor will come speak with you when they know more. In the waiting area, Selina sank into a chair, the adrenaline draining away, leaving only fear and exhaustion. Julian sat beside her, close but not touching. Can I get you anything? He asked gently. Coffee, water? Selina shook her head. You don't have to stay, this could take hours. I'm not going anywhere, Julian said firmly. Something in his tone made Selina look at him, really look at him for the first time since they'd reconnected. His face had matured, gained character lines around the eyes, but those eyes were the same. Warm, sincere, looking at her like she was the only person in the world. It was the way he'd looked at her under the stars 15 years ago. Why did you really give me the night shift? She asked suddenly. Julian seemed taken aback by the question, but he answered honestly, because I couldn't bear the thought of you emptying my trash can while I sat at my desk pretending not to know you. It felt wrong. So it was guilt? No, Julian said quickly. It was respect. I wanted to give you space while I figured out how to approach you. And yes, he admitted, I wanted to make things a little easier for you with the higher pay, but I knew you wouldn't accept anything that felt like charity. Before Selina could respond, a doctor approached them. Family of Lena James. Selina stood quickly. I'm her niece. How is she? She's stable, the doctor assured her. She has a broken wrist and some bruising, but fortunately no hip or head injuries this time. We'd like to keep her overnight for observation because of her underlying condition. Relief flooded through Selina. Can I see her? She's being moved. To a room now. A nurse will come get you when she's settled. As the doctor walked away, Selina's knees went weak with relief. Julian gently guided her back to the chair. She's okay, he reassured her, his hand warm on her arm. This time, Selina said, the words catching in her throat, but I'm so afraid of what happens next time or the time after that. The medical bills are already overwhelming and I—" She stopped herself, embarrassed to be revealing so much. "Lena," Julian said softly, using her old nickname again. "Let me help." Selina stiffened. "I don't want your money, Julian." "Not my money," he clarified. "My connections. Valerix has an excellent employee health plan that extends to immediate family members, and there's a position opening up in our community outreach department that I think you'd be perfect for." Selina frowned. "I'm not qualified. You're more qualified than anyone. The job involves coordinating with local schools on our STEM education initiatives. It's all about communication, organization, and understanding what teachers and students need. Things you've always been good at." "You're offering me a job because of our past," Selina said, though with less resistance than before. Julian shook his head. "I'm offering you an interview because of our past. You'll get the job because you're the right person for it, and it comes with full benefits that would cover your aunt's medical needs." Selina wanted to refuse, to maintain her independence, but she thought of her aunt's mounting medical bills, of the collection notices piling up on their kitchen table. "I'll think about it," she said finally. Julian smiled, understanding the concession that represented. "That's all I ask." A nurse approached them. "Miss James, your aunt is asking for you. Room 342. Selina stood, and after a moment's hesitation, turned to Julian. Would you like to come with me? I know she'd like to see you." The surprise and happiness that crossed Julian's face made Selina's heart flutter in a way it hadn't in years. "I'd like that very much," he said, standing to join her. As they walked together toward the elevator, Selina felt something shift between them. Not forgiveness exactly, or even trust, but the possibility of both. A door opening to a future she'd stopped allowing herself to imagine. "Thank you," she said quietly as they waited for the elevator, "for being here tonight." Julian's hand found hers, warm and steady. "I promised I'd come back for you, Lena. I just didn't know it would take 15 years. The elevator doors opened, and together they stepped inside, toward Aunt Lena's room and perhaps toward a second chance neither of them had expected. The hospital room was dim, with only a small lamp casting a soft glow over Aunt Lena's bed. She looked smaller than usual against the white sheets, her wrist encased in a temporary splint. When Selina entered with Julian behind her, Aunt Lena's eyes widened in surprise. "Is that who I think it is?" she asked, her voice weak, but her eyes alert. Julian stepped forward with a warm smile. "Hello, Mrs. James, it's been a long time." 15 years, Aunt Lena said pointedly, but with a hint of amusement. "You grew up handsome, just like your father." Julian laughed softly. "And you're still as direct as ever." Selina moved to her aunt's side, carefully taking her uninjured hand. "What happened?" "Nothing dramatic," Aunt Lena sighed. "Got lightheaded going to the bathroom. Next thing I knew, I was on the floor, and Mrs. Parker from next door was calling an ambulance." "The doctor said they want to keep you overnight for observation," Selina told her. Aunt Lena nodded, then looked between Selina and Julian with curiosity. "So you two have reconnected, I see." "We're figuring things out," Selina said carefully. Julian pulled up a chair on the opposite side of the bed. "I was trying to convince Selina to apply for a position in our community outreach department. It would come with better benefits that could help with your medical expenses." Aunt Lena's eyes sparkled with interest. "Is that so? And what did my stubborn niece say to that?" "I said I'd think about it," Selina replied, giving her aunt a look that said, "Don't push it." "Well, while you're thinking," Aunt Lena said, turning back to Julian, "tell me about yourself. What happened after your family left Atlanta?" For the next hour, Julian shared stories of his life, the years in London, college at Oxford, his return to the States to start his own tech company that eventually became Valerix. Throughout his telling, Selina noticed he kept glancing at her, as if gauging her reaction. "And you never married?" Aunt Lena asked with the directness of someone who felt entitled to personal questions. "Aunt Lena," Selina protested. Julian chuckled. "It's okay, no, Mrs. James, I never married. Came close once about 5 years ago, but it didn't work out." "Why not?" Aunt Lena pressed. Julian's eyes met Selina's briefly before returning to her. "Aunt, let's just say she wasn't the right one." A nurse entered the room, interrupting the moment. I need to check your vitals and give you something for pain, Mrs. James. Your visitors can come back in about 30 minutes. Outside in the hallway, Selina felt suddenly awkward, aware of how quickly they had fallen into a pattern of familiarity. You don't have to stay, Julian. It's nearly morning, and you have a company to run. And you have a job to get back to, he pointed out. Night shift, remember? Selina winced. I didn't finish my work. I should call Rita. Already taken care of, Julian assured her. I told you I had Mark contact HR. You're covered. I can't just leave work whenever there's a problem, Selina said, some of her earlier wariness returning. I need this job. Julian's expression grew serious. Selina, I meant what I said about the position in community outreach. It's real, it's open, and you would be perfect for it. No special treatment, just an opportunity. Selina leaned against the wall, suddenly exhausted. Why are you doing this, Julian, really? Because I never stopped caring about you, he said simply. And because I know what it's like to want to help someone you love, but feel powerless to. Do it. His words hung in the air between them, loaded with meaning. Before Selina could respond, her phone buzzed with a text from her neighbor. Left your aunt's medications by your door. Hope she's okay. I should go home and get some things. For Aunt Lena, Selina said, reading the message. She'll need her regular medications and some clothes for when they discharge her. I'll drive you, Julian offered immediately. Selina hesitated. Julian, you've already done enough. You must be tired too. I'm fine, he insisted, and I'd feel better knowing you got home safely. Too exhausted to argue, Selina nodded. Thank you. The ride to Selina's apartment was quiet, both of them lost in their own thoughts. When Julian pulled up in front of the modest apartment building in a working-class neighborhood, Selina saw him taking in the surroundings, the peeling paint, the security bars on the windows, the general air of struggle. It's not much, she said defensively, but it's home. I wasn't judging, Julian said quickly. I was thinking about how strong you are, how much you've handled on your own. His words caught her off guard. There was no pity in them, only admiration. Do you want to come up while I get her things? It won't take long. Julian nodded, and soon they were climbing the stairs to the third-floor apartment. The elevator had been broken for months. Inside, the apartment was small but meticulously clean. Selina had made it as comfortable as possible with bright throw pillows, family photos, and bookshelves crammed with well-worn volumes, evidence of her lifelong love of reading. Julian moved to the bookshelves while Selina gathered her aunt's medications and packed a small overnight bag. He ran his fingers along the spines, many of which were books they'd read together as teenagers. You kept our favorites, he observed, pulling out a copy of To Kill a Mockingbird with a tattered cover. They reminded me of better times, Selina admitted, zipping up the bag. Ready? On the drive back to the hospital, Julian broke the comfortable silence. I have a proposition for you, and before you say no, just hear me out. Selina sighed. I'm listening. Come work for me for 3 months in community outreach. If you don't like it, or if you feel it's not the right fit, I'll personally help you find another position, anywhere you want. Julian, just 3 months, he pressed. No strings attached. Better pay, better hours, and health benefits that would cover your aunt's treatments. All I'm asking is that you give it a chance. Selina stared out the window at the city coming, awake with the dawn. The practical part of her knew this opportunity could solve so many of their problems. The proud part of her resisted being rescued, especially by Julian. I don't have experience in corporate outreach, she said finally. You have experience in compassion, in understanding what people need, in finding solutions with limited resources, Julian countered. That's more valuable than any resume bullet point. They pulled up to the hospital, and Julian turned in his seat to face her fully. Just say you'll think about it. That's all I'm asking. Looking into his eyes, those familiar hazel eyes that had once held so much promise for her, Selina felt her resistance wavering. I'll think about it. Julian's smile was worth the concession. Back in Aunt Lena's room, they found her looking better. Some color returned to her cheeks. She brightened. When they walked in together, you two look good together, she observed, never one to hold back her thoughts. Always did. Aunt Lena, Selina warned, unpacking the medications. What, I'm just stating facts, her aunt replied innocently. Julian, are you staying for breakfast? Hospital food isn't gourmet, but they make decent pancakes, Julian checked his watch reluctantly. I actually need to head to the office, but I'll come back this evening if that's okay. More than okay, Aunt Lena said before Selina could respond. We'll be here unless they decide to release me early. Julian looked at Selina, seeking her confirmation. She nodded, surprised by how much she wanted him to return. I'll be back around 6, he promised. He hesitated, then leaned down to kiss Aunt Lena's cheek. Try to stay off your feet, Mrs. James. Call me Lena, she insisted. Mrs. James makes me feel ancient. Julian laughed, then turned to Selina. For a moment she thought he might kiss her cheek too, but instead he simply squeezed her hand. Get some rest if you can. After he left, Aunt Lena fixed Selina with a knowing look. That boy is still in love with you. Don't be ridiculous, Selina protested, though her heart skipped at the thought. He feels guilty for not keeping in touch, that's all. Guilt doesn't look at someone the way he looks at you, her aunt said firmly, and you're not exactly indifferent yourself. Selina busied herself arranging her aunt's things, avoiding the conversation. He offered me a job in his company's outreach department. And I told him I'd think about it. Aunt Lena raised an eyebrow. What's there to think about? Better pay, better hours, probably better benefits. It feels like charity, Selina admitted. Like he's creating a position just for me. Did he say that? No, but then stop assuming the worst, her aunt interrupted. Maybe he sees something in you worth investing in. Lord knows I always have. Selina sank into the chair beside the bed, suddenly overwhelmed by everything. The emotional reunion with Julian, her aunt's fall, the possibility of a new job, a new direction. I'm scared, Aunt Lena, she confessed quietly. Of what, honey? Of hoping again, of believing things could be different. Selina's voice caught. What if I take this job and it doesn't work out? What if I let myself care about Julian again and he disappears? I can't go through that again. Aunt Lena reached for her hand. Life doesn't come with guarantees, Selina, but sometimes you have to take a leap of faith. That's easy to say when you're not the one leaping, Selina murmured. Isn't that what I did when I took in a heartbroken 12-year-old after my sister died? Wasn't that a leap of faith? Aunt Lena's voice was gentle but firm. I could have sent you to live with your father, but I didn't. Because I believed in you, in us as a family, and I've never regretted it, not even when I got sick. Tears welled in Selina's eyes. I couldn't have survived without you. And I couldn't have survived without you, her aunt replied. That's what family is, Selina. It's believing in each other when the odds are against you. Maybe it's time you believed in Julian's faith in you. Before Selina could respond, the doctor entered with discharge papers. Good news, Mrs. James. Your tests came back normal and we don't see any reason to keep you. You can go home as long as you promise to rest and follow up with your specialist next week. By noon, they were back in their apartment. Aunt Lena settled, comfortably on the sofa with her arm propped on pillows. Selina, though exhausted, was too wired to sleep. Her mind kept returning to Julian's offer and to the way he'd looked at her in the hospital room, like she was still the girl he'd once adored. Around 4, her phone buzzed with a text from Julian. Still planning to visit at 6. Can I bring dinner? Any preferences? The simple thoughtfulness of the gesture brought a warmth to Selina's chest. She texted back, Anything is fine. Aunt Lena loves Italian. His response came quickly. Italian it is, see you soon. Selina spent the next hour tidying the apartment and helping her aunt change into a fresh nightgown. Despite her protests about not needing to impress Julian, Selina found herself changing out of her rumpled clothes into a simple blue dress that brought out her eyes. When the doorbell rang at 6 o'clock sharp, Selina's heart fluttered with an anticipation she hadn't felt in years. She opened the door to find Julian standing there in casual clothes, jeans and a button-down shirt, holding bags from an upscale Italian restaurant and a bouquet of yellow daisies, Aunt Lena's favorite. How did you remember? Selina asked. Nodding to the flowers, Julian's smile was warm. I remember everything about those days, Lena, every single detail. From the sofa, Aunt Lena called out, Are you going to leave that poor man standing in the hallway all night? Julian laughed and stepped inside, handing the flowers to Selina. These are for both of you, and I brought enough food to feed an army." The evening passed in a haze of delicious food, comfortable conversation, and more laughter than Selina's apartment had heard in years. Julian fit into their small world as if he'd always been part of it, helping serve the food, making sure Aunt Lena was comfortable, and regaling them with stories of his business travels. After dinner, while Selina cleared the dishes, Julian sat, with Aunt Lena, listening intently as she showed him old photo albums, including several pictures of Selina as a teenager that made her blush with embarrassment. "Look at this one," Aunt Lena was saying as Selina returned to the living room. Her high school graduation, valedictorian, her speech made everyone cry. Julian studied the photo of 18-year-old Selina in her cap and gown, pride evident in his eyes. "I always knew you'd do great things." "Speaking of which," Aunt Lena said, fixing Selina with a pointed look, "have you thought more about Julian's job offer?" Selina shot her aunt a warning glance. "We don't need to discuss that now." "Actually," Julian said, setting down the photo album, "I brought something that might help you decide." He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a folder. "This is the official job description, salary information, and benefits package. I thought you might want to look it over properly." Selina took the folder, touched by his understanding of her need to make an informed decision. Inside, she found detailed information about the community outreach position, including responsibilities that sounded challenging but fulfilling, and a salary that was nearly 3 times what she currently made as a janitor. But what caught her? Was the health insurance information, a comprehensive plan that would cover all of Aunt Lena's treatments, medications, and even home care if needed. "This is very generous," Selina said, her voice thick with emotion. "It's the standard package for this position," Julian assured her. "Nothing special or charity about it." Aunt Lena, who had been reading over Selina's shoulder, patted her hand. "It looks like an answer to prayer, if you ask me." Selina looked between her aunt's hopeful face and Julian's patient one. She thought about the years of struggle, of working multiple jobs sometimes just to keep up with the medical bills. She thought about the dreams she'd put aside, the potential that had gone unfulfilled, and she thought about the boy who had once promised to come back for her, who, against all odds, had kept that promise in his own way. "When would you want me to start?" she asked Julian, her decision made. The joy that spread across his face was worth any lingering doubts. "Is Monday too soon?" Selina laughed. "Monday works." Aunt Lena clapped her good hand against her knee. "Well, that calls for a celebration. Selina, there's a bottle of sparkling cider in the fridge that we've been saving for a special occasion." As Selina went to get the cider, she heard her aunt asking Julian in a low voice, "You'll take care of her, won't you? She spent too many years taking care of everyone else." "I promise," Julian replied, his voice equally soft but firm. "I'm not going anywhere this time." When Selina returned with the cider and 3 glasses, she found Julian helping her aunt adjust her position on the sofa, his movements gentle and considerate. Something warm unfurled in her chest at the sight, a feeling she'd long ago buried. Hope. Julian poured the cider and raised his glass. "To new beginnings. And second chances," Aunt Lena added, with a meaningful look between the two of them. Selina touched her glass to theirs. "To second chances," she echoed, allowing herself for the first time in years to believe in possibilities. Later, as Julian prepared to leave, Selina walked him to the door. In the narrow hallway they stood close, the air between them charged with unspoken feelings. "Thank you," Selina said softly. "Not just for the job opportunity, but for today, for being here for us." Julian reached out to tuck a strand of hair behind her ear, his touch feather-light. "I meant what I said to your aunt. I'm not going anywhere, Lena. Not this time." Before she could respond, he leaned in and pressed a gentle kiss to her cheek. "I'll pick you up Monday morning at 8. Business casual dress code." Selina nodded, unable to form words around the lump in her throat. As he turned to go, Julian paused. "One more thing. Check your email tonight. I sent you something important." After he left, Selina returned to the living room to find her aunt, watching her with knowing eyes. "Don't say it," Selina warned. "Say what?" Aunt Lena asked innocently. That he's a good man? That you deserve happiness? That maybe fate brought you two back together for a reason? All of the above, Selina said, but she was smiling. Later that night, after getting her aunt settled in bed, Selina checked her email. On her old laptop, there was a message from Julian, sent from his personal email rather than his work account. The subject line read simply, "What I kept." Intrigued, Selina opened it to find a photo of a small wooden box. The attached message read, "I've carried this with me from London to New York to Atlanta and everywhere in between. Open it when you're ready. No pressure, no expectations, just truth." Selina stared at the photo, recognizing the box as one she'd given Julian for his 15th birthday, a handmade jewelry box she'd saved up to buy from a local craftsman. Inside she could just make out what looked like folded papers, a small velvet pouch, and what appeared to be a pressed flower. Her heart raced as she realized what she was seeing, mementos of their time together, preserved for 15 years. Tangible proof that she had never left his heart, even when their lives had taken them in different directions. For the first time since reconnecting with Julian, Selina allowed herself to fully feel the emotions she'd been holding at bay. The longing, the curiosity, the tentative joy of finding something she'd thought was lost forever. Monday morning suddenly couldn't come soon enough. Monday morning dawned bright and clear, a perfect spring day in Atlanta. Selina stood in front of her small closet scanning, her limited wardrobe for something appropriate for her first day at Valerix. She finally settled on a navy blue skirt, a white blouse, and a light cardigan. Professional but not pretentious. "You look beautiful," Aunt Lena said from the doorway. Her injured arm in a proper cast now. "Julian won't know what hit him." Selina blushed. "This isn't about Julian, it's about starting a new job." Her aunt hummed skeptically. "And I'm the Queen of England." "Are you sure you'll be okay today?" Selina asked, changing the subject. "Mrs. Parker said she'd check on you at lunchtime, but I can call and see if she can come earlier." "Stop fussing," Aunt Lena interrupted. "I'm not an invalid. It's just a broken wrist. I managed fine before you started taking care of me, and I can manage for a few hours while you're at work." Selina sighed, knowing her aunt's stubbornness all too well. "Fine, but promise you'll call if you need anything." "I promise," Aunt Lena said solemnly, then broke into a grin. "Now go change the world, or at least your corner of it." At precisely 8 o'clock, a soft knock came at the door. Selina's heart raced as she opened it to find Julian standing there, looking handsome in a charcoal suit. His eyes widened appreciatively as he took in her appearance. "Ready for your first day?" he asked, his voice warm. Selina nodded, suddenly too nervous for words. She turned to wave goodbye to her aunt, who gave her an encouraging thumbs up from the sofa. The drive to Valerix was filled with Julian's gentle briefing about what to expect. "The outreach team is small but dedicated. Your direct supervisor will be Maria Chen. She's been with the company since the beginning and knows everything about our educational initiatives. I've told her about your background, but not about our personal connection." Selina glanced at him. "You didn't tell her we know each other." "I told her we grew up in the same neighborhood," Julian clarified, "but not the details. I want you to be judged on your own merits, not as someone with a connection to the CEO." The consideration behind his decision touched Selina deeply. He understood her need to prove herself, to earn her place rather than be given it. When they arrived at Valerix, Julian led her through the main entrance, rather than the service entrance she'd used as a janitor. The lobby looked different in the morning light, bustling with employees starting their day. Several people nodded respectfully to Julian, eyeing Selina with curious glances. At the elevator, Julian pressed the button for the 25th floor. Not the executive level where he worked, but the floor housing the community outreach and public relations departments. "I'll introduce you to Maria, then leave you in her capable hands," Julian said as they rode up. "But maybe we could have lunch later, to see how your first day is going." "I'd like that," Selina replied, surprised by how much she meant it. Maria Chen turned out to be an energetic woman in her 40s, with a warm smile and sharp eyes. Her office was filled with thank you cards from schools and community organizations, a testament to the impact of Valerix's outreach work. "Welcome to the team, Selina," Maria said after Julian made the introductions. "Julian speaks very highly of your organizational skills and community connection. We've got a lot of exciting projects coming up that could use your touch." Julian squeezed Selina's shoulder lightly. "I'll leave you in Maria's good hands. My office is just a few floors up if you need anything." As Julian left, Maria led Selina on a tour of the department, introducing her to the small team and explaining their current initiatives. "Our main focus is the STEM Future program," Maria explained. "We partner with under-resourced schools to provide technology, curriculum support and mentoring. The goal is to create pathways to tech careers for kids who might not otherwise have those opportunities." The mission resonated deeply with Selina. "I was one of those kids," she admitted. "Smart but with limited resources. If a program like this had existed when I was in school..." "Then you understand exactly why this work matters," Maria said, approvingly. "Your personal experience will be invaluable." By lunchtime, Selina's head was spinning with new information, but she felt a spark of excitement she hadn't experienced in years. This was meaningful work that could make a real difference in children's lives. A text from Julian interrupted her thoughts. "Still on for lunch? Meet me on the roof garden?" Selina made her way to the roof, stepping out into the same beautiful space where they'd reconnected just days ago. Julian was waiting at a small table set with sandwiches and drinks. "How's it going so far?" he asked as she sat across from him. "It's overwhelming," Selina admitted. "But in a good way. The STEM Future program is amazing. I wish something like that had existed when we were growing up." Julian nodded, his expression thoughtful. "That's actually what inspired me to start it. I kept thinking about how many talented kids like you never get the chances they deserve." "Like me?" Selina asked, surprised. "You were the smartest person I knew, Lena," Julian said seriously. "You should have had scholarships, opportunities. When I started making real money, I promised myself I'd try to create those opportunities for others." Selina felt a rush of emotions: pride in Julian's accomplishments, sadness for what might have been, and a growing warmth toward the man he'd become. "Thank you for this chance," she said softly. "Not just the job, but the chance to be part of something that matters." Julian reached across the table to take her hand. "Thank you for giving me a second chance. I know I have a lot to make up for." "You don't," Selina insisted. "We were kids. Life happened. To both of us." Julian's thumb traced small circles on her palm. "I want you to know something. I meant every word in that email I sent you. Every memento in that box represents a moment I never forgot." Selina's breath caught. "I looked at the picture. The pressed flower. Was it from the gardenia bush in my backyard?" Julian nodded. "From the night before I left. You said gardenias meant secret love. I kept it all these years." Before Selina could respond, Julian's phone buzzed with a message. He checked it and sighed. "Board meeting in 5 minutes. I'm sorry, I have to go." "It's okay," Selina assured him. "I should get back to work too. Maria wants to review the upcoming school visits with me." As they walked back to the elevator, Julian asked, "Dinner tonight? I'd like to hear more about your first day." Selina hesitated. "I should check on Aunt Lena. Bring her too," Julian suggested. "We could get takeout and eat at your place again, if that's easier." The genuine consideration in his offer melted. Another layer of Selina's defenses. "That sounds perfect. 7 o'clock?" Julian's smile was radiant. "It's a date." The rest of Selina's first day passed in a whirlwind of meetings and information. By 5 o'clock, she had a notepad full of ideas and a growing excitement about the possibilities ahead. Maria seemed impressed with her questions and suggestions, and had already assigned her to lead an upcoming presentation for school principals. As Selina packed up to leave, Maria stopped by her desk. "Good first day?" "Great first day, Selina," replied honestly. "Thank you for making me feel welcome." Maria's expression grew thoughtful. "You know, when Julian first mentioned hiring you, I was skeptical. He doesn't usually get involved in department-level hiring." Selina tensed. "Oh, but now I see why he insisted I meet you," Maria continued. "You've got the perfect background for this work, the lived experience our team needs. I'm glad he recognized your potential." Relief washed over Selina. Julian had been honest. The job was real and she was qualified for it. When she arrived home, Selina found Aunt Lena watching her favorite soap opera, looking comfortable and well-rested. "How was your first day as a corporate professional?" her aunt asked, muting the television. Selina kicked off her shoes and curled up on the sofa beside her. "It was amazing, Aunt Lena. I'm going to be working with schools to help kids get into technology fields. Kids just like me, who might not otherwise have the chance. I always knew you'd find your way back to education," Aunt Lena said proudly. "Even if it's not as a doctor, you're still going to change lives." "Julian's coming over for dinner again. Tonight," Selina mentioned, trying to sound casual. "I hope that's okay." Aunt Lena's eyes twinkled. "More than okay. That boy brings life into this apartment, and he looks at you like you're the sun and stars." "It's complicated," Selina sighed. "He's my boss now." "He's the CEO," her aunt corrected. "Your boss is Maria, what's her name? There's a difference." Before Selina could argue the point, a knock at the door announced Julian's arrival. He stood in the hallway with bags of Chinese food in one hand and a small gift bag in the other. "For your aunt," he explained, handing Selina the gift bag as he entered. "Something to keep her entertained while she recovers." Inside was a beautiful, leather-bound book of crossword puzzles, Aunt Lena's favorite pastime, and a nice pen with an easy grip surface perfect for someone with a cast. "You remembered," Aunt Lena said, delighted. "I used to do these on the porch while you two were studying." "I told you," Julian said, glancing at Selina. "I remember everything." Dinner was filled with laughter and stories as Selina shared details about her first day and the projects she'd be working on. Julian listened intently, offering suggestions and encouragement. It felt natural, as if they'd been having family dinners together for years instead of days. After they'd finished eating, Aunt Lena announced she was tired and headed to bed, but not before giving Julian a warm hug and whispering something in his ear that made him smile. "What did she say to you?" Selina asked after her aunt had gone. "She told me not to waste any more time," Julian admitted. Apparently 15 years was long enough. The air between them felt charged as they cleaned up the dinner dishes together, moving around the small kitchen in comfortable synchrony. "What are you thinking?" Julian asked as they finished, noticing Selina's contemplative expression. "I'm thinking about that box," she replied honestly. "The one in the email. I'd like to see it sometime." Julian's eyes brightened. "I have it in my car. I've been carrying it with me since the night I recognized you, waiting for the right moment." "Really?" Selina's heart raced. "Could I see it? Now?" Minutes later, they sat on the small balcony of her apartment, the wooden box between them. It looked exactly as Selina remembered giving it to him, a simple cedar box with carved stars on the lid, though now worn with age and handling. "Open it," Julian encouraged softly. With trembling fingers, Selina lifted the lid. Inside, carefully preserved, were treasures from their past: the pressed gardenia flower, yellowed with age but still recognizable, a stack of unsent letters tied with a blue ribbon, ticket stubs from the one movie they'd seen together, a small velvet pouch, and a faded photograph of them at 15, heads together, laughing at something long forgotten. "You kept all of this?" Selina whispered, touching the items reverently. "They were all I had of you," Julian explained. "When we moved to London, I was devastated. These were my connection to you, to the life I left behind." Selina picked up the stack of letters. "These are the ones your mother never mailed," Julian nodded. "I found them years later in a box of my old things. She'd kept them instead of sending them. I think she hoped I'd forget you if we lost touch. May I read them?" "There." "Yours," Julian said simply. They always were. Selina untied the ribbon and opened the first letter, dated just weeks after Julian had moved away. The handwriting was younger, less polished, but unmistakably his. "Dear Lena, I miss you more than I can say. London is big and strange and nothing like home. Dad's new job keeps him busy all the time, and Mom is trying to get involved with the right social circles. I hate it here. All I can think about is you and the promises I made. I will come back for you. As soon as I'm old enough, I'm coming home to Atlanta, to you. Remember the night under the stars when we talked about constellations? I look for the same stars here. Knowing you might be looking at them too, it makes me feel closer to you. Please write back." I need to know you're okay. Missing you. Julian tears blurred Selina's vision as she looked up at Julian. I never got this, or any of the others. I know, he said softly. And by the time I found them, years had passed. I tried to find you, but your old house had new people living in it. No one knew where you'd gone. Selina reached for the velvet pouch. What's this? Open it, Julian encouraged. Inside was a delicate silver necklace with a star-shaped pendant. Selina recognized it immediately. It was the necklace she'd admired in a shop window the week before Julian moved away. You bought it, she breathed. It was going to be my goodbye gift to you, Julian explained. But then, my dad told us we were leaving 2 days earlier than planned. I never got the chance to give it to you. Julian took the necklace from her hands. May I? Selina nodded, turning so he could fasten it around her neck. His fingers brushed against her skin, sending shivers down her spine. It looks beautiful on you, he said, as she turned back to face him. Just like I imagined it would all those years ago. In that moment, sitting under the same stars that had witnessed their childhood promises, the years between them seemed to melt away. Julian reached out to trace her cheek with gentle fingers. I never stopped thinking about you, Lena, he confessed. Even when I dated other women, even when I nearly got engaged, something was always missing. They weren't you. Selina's heart hammered in her chest. I tried to forget you, she admitted. I told myself you were just a childhood memory, that what we had wasn't real, but seeing you again, it was real, Julian insisted, moving closer. It still is, at least for me. His eyes asked a question, and Selina answered by leaning forward to press her lips gently against his. The kiss was sweet and tentative at first, then deeper as 15 years of separation and longing melted into a moment of perfect connection. When they finally pulled apart, Julian rested his forehead against hers. I meant what I said that night. Under the stars, Lena. I promised I'd come back for you. It just took me longer than I planned. Selina smiled through her tears. Some promises are worth waiting for. In the weeks that followed, Selina threw herself into her new role at Valorix with passion and dedication. The STEM Future program flourished under her guidance, expanding to more schools and reaching more children than ever before. Her background, growing up with limited resources but unlimited potential, gave her a unique perspective that transformed the program's approach. Julian watched her bloom with pride and growing love, careful to keep their professional lives separate from their personal relationship, which deepened with each passing day. They spent evenings and weekends together, often with Aunt Lena, creating the family bond that had been interrupted years before. 3 months after Selina's first day at Valorix, Julian took her back to the roof garden where they'd reconnected. A small table was set for dinner, with candles and flowers creating a romantic atmosphere against the backdrop of the Atlanta skyline. What's the occasion? Selina asked as he pulled out her chair. 3 months, Julian replied, pouring champagne into crystal flutes. Remember our agreement? You promised to give the job 3 months. Selina smiled. And now you're worried. So I'm going to quit? Are you? He asked, his expression suddenly serious. Julian, Selina said gently, I love my job. I love what we're building with the STEM program. It's the most fulfilling work I've ever done. Relief washed over his face. I'm glad to hear that, because I have a proposition for you. Another one, Selina teased. Your last proposition changed my life. Julian reached across the table to take her hand. I'm hoping this one might too. From his pocket, he produced a small velvet box. Selina's breath caught as he opened it to reveal a beautiful diamond ring. 15 years ago, I made you a promise under the stars, Julian said, his voice thick with emotion. I promised I'd come back for you. Now I'm making a new promise, to never leave again, to build a life with you, a family, a future. He slid from his chair to kneel beside her. Selina James, will you marry me? Tears of joy filled Selina's eyes as she looked at the boy who had once held her hand under summer stars, now a man offering her his heart and future. Yes, she whispered, her voice breaking with emotion. Yes, I'll marry you. As Julian slipped the ring onto her finger and pulled her into his arms, Selena thought about the journey that had brought them to this moment, from childhood sweethearts to strangers to lovers again. A journey that had begun with a job she never expected, in a building she'd entered with her chin held high and her heart guarded. 6 months later, in the garden of the small house Julian had bought for them close to Aunt Lena's new medical center, they exchanged vows surrounded by friends, family, and dozens of children from the STEM Future program, kids whose lives Selena was helping to transform just as Julian had transformed hers. "I think I've been waiting for you my whole life," Julian said as they shared their first dance as husband and wife. "Even during the years we were apart, my heart was saving a place for you." Selena rested her head against his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart. "Some love stories take longer than others," she murmured, "but ours was worth waiting for." From her seat of honor near the dance floor, Aunt Lena watched them with tears of joy in her eyes. She had always believed that true love finds its way home eventually. And tonight, seeing Selena in Julian's arms, radiant with happiness, she knew she had been right. The job Selena never expected had led her to the love she'd never forgotten. And under the same stars that had witnessed their childhood promises, they began to write a new chapter of their story, together at last. The end.